leadership is dynamic. Leadership is extremely complex. Every day I lead differently because it calls for me to lead.
Can we talk about that?
Absolutely.
Can we sit there?
Yeah.
I've seen this too much. How's everybody doing? I'm Dr. Don Wilkins. This is the leadership series, Barriers to Breakthrough. I'm also the author of the book, Barriers to Breakthrough, which is 13 strategies for effective leadership in a multi-generational workplace. And we are back with another episode. I'm super excited to have a great conversation with another powerful leader. This is soon to be Dr. Cesquinn Curtis.
Yes, sir.
He is the Associate Vice President of Student Life at Kent State, and he is the proud owner, founder, and lead strategist for the Strategist Firm. We're going to have a good conversation today. I think that when I set out to do this, I wanted to sit across from some really powerful leaders. And so first of all, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
This is really cool for us to be able to do this on camera. I think we've had several conversations around leadership and all of that it entails.
Yeah, I'm ready to get into it.
So we're going to dive into it. But I just want to set the table for like kind of why I'm even doing this so that it might help shape some of our conversation. There's tons of people that are in leadership, and they may have just gotten the title. What I found is a lot of people don't have training or the experience, which comes over time.
Absolutely.
And I think that this is going to provide people with space to go and glean from people that have had experiences and or maybe not even have a mentor or something like that, and they can watch this and learn. And I think it's important for especially the time that we're in, because we're in this multi-generational workplace now more than ever, because, you know, we have people that are folks that are not retiring. They still have to work for mainly we're talking about some economical reasons, but there are some other reasons why people are still in the workforce now. Now we have these younger folks or people from different generations with all these other generations, and they're all working together. And being a leader of that is really difficult or complex. I won't say difficult, it's complex. And so we just wanted to have a robust conversation about that. But before we jump into all of that, we want to get the folks to know who you are. So I always start with this question because I think it's really cool to like open up with. Clearly you're a leader now. You look like one too.
Thank you, brother. Look at yourself too, bro.
Thank you.
You're clean.
Yeah, you feel me. What was your first sign that you were different, that you had some leadership in you? What was that first moment where you recognized, and it could be from your childhood, that like, yeah, I'm a leader. Like this thing, I see this world or people differently.
It was, I think that's an important question, right? To start off, like, what was that formal point or the seminal point for when leaders are formed? And for me, it was middle school. It was me being in one of the not so great or pleasant middle schools in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a native. Shout out to ATL.
Hey.
And it was when I decided to be a part of and form student government in a middle school, to where I wanted to see change, positive change for the environment that I'm in. So I think that was the first point in which I said, let me do something to be different, to have different.
Did someone tell you that, or it was something, an unction inside of you?
It was just me. Were there a lot of people who pushed me once I stated what that vision looked like and was? Absolutely.
So middle school was your start point, where you're like, oh, there's something here. I need to go and help or support. I always find that interesting because I started to talk with people about that, and most people point back to their childhood when they started to find out when their first calling of leadership was. Who helped you in the beginning? Who were those people that kind of helped you navigate through your preliminary stages of leadership?
Dr. Ben Pennington was someone when I went from playing middle school football to debate. He was my 6th grade history teacher, social studies, and he was also the debate coach. And he was the one that pushed me. That was that male figure in the school that was like, you got it, let's go. You got to be educated. You got to know your surroundings. How are you going to do it? He asked me those hard questions and definitely helped guide and shape me, but gave me access to many different things. So you're talking about a school in South Atlanta that didn't have the internet. He got us internet. That didn't have a computer lab with printers. He got us printers so that we can debate, so that we can learn, we can grow. So he helped me see clearly that resources are not the same for everyone, but he also bridged that gap between. And having someone behind you that really can support you, push you, and see the good that you're trying to do and help you navigate is important. And I carry that with me today. So when I hear others like younger brothers and sisters now that speak to, this is my vision, how do I support them?
Yeah, that was you segue into my next question as I started to listen to this. You know, he poured into you, right? He eliminated barriers. He provided himself a space to mentor you. Who was the first person that you mentored? That was the thought that came in. So who was the first person that you like took a formal position in their life as a mentor?
Where I thought it was formal was in college. And I was a part of Black Men with Initiative at University of West Georgia. Go Wolves. At that time it was Braves, but things happen. And this brother, I won't say his name to embarrass him, right? But he was one of the younger brothers, and still to this day, he called me Big Brother Hollywood. That was my name.
Why would he ever?
We ain't got to talk about that. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
but no, I was true to myself, and that was the formal place of like, all right, I want to see you thrive. How can I help? What do you need? Help navigating college. This person came from the country of Georgia, and this is not something that he's first gen. I'm not, right? So this is something that I wanted to make sure that I was able to give back, pour, navigate into him, and still to this day, I pick up the phone, he's there. Yeah. And he's already a doctor, so he surpassed me.
Okay.
And he got a bet. We got a bet on the
You're
table
well on
about
your way.
becoming a doctor. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Sure. I think about, oftentimes the folks that I'm either contracted to work with or have come past, my desk, if you will. They have been placed in leadership, maybe by necessity, or maybe even their own desire, but they haven't received any training in that. What's your experience with that, with dealing with or leading folks who maybe formerly have entered into leadership, but maybe not necessarily had any training?
Well, I think it's unfortunate. However, you're there, so we got to figure out how to help you. And what I would say is, I was joking earlier, we was prepping about, you read some of my articles, but you the doctor, and you did this work, but there are 4 things that you spell out clearly in the book that I identify with, and I use that: skill, will, knowledge, and capacity. So that is the rating sheet. That is the rubric that I use to see where you are. If you have the skill to do something, if you have the willing to do something, if you have the knowledge, if you have the information there, it's about how we collectively move all these things around to give you the capacity you need. And sometimes it's capacity for you to understand how to use and when to use those skills, whether it's situational leadership, whether it's transformative leadership, authentic leadership. When I look at leaders that are just put in place, usually they fail because they think there's only one way to lead. Or they have seen a model of leadership that they think is the best model. And leadership is dynamic. Leadership is extremely complex. Every day I lead differently because it calls for me to lead.
Can we talk about that?
Absolutely.
Can we sit there?
Yeah.
I've seen this too much now where people, I don't want to call it stagnant, but I've seen this this idea of like maybe a bird in a cage. The door's open and you can lead in different ways, but because I believe this is the way that it's supposed to be, I won't try anything. Talk about the ways in which you have to show up for different people in different situations, because I've heard this statement of like, I want to show up the same way. I want to be the same person every day for people that I lead. And I could think there's some importance in being consistent, I guess emotionally constant. Yeah. But what about that difference of like all of the different ways to show up as a leader?
I would say consistency is different from showing up the same way, right? It's important for you to be dynamic in your approach per person. There are some individuals that I work with, team members, that I would honestly say that I'll use situational leadership, high task, low relation. There are individuals that I work with that is high task. Here's the goal. Here's the action item. How are we executing? That is me. Some is 90% of the conversation is, how are you doing? How can I remove barriers? Do you have capacity to approach the next goal? That is a very different conversation. But I think it all starts with empathy and listening. Like if you can listen for understanding, you know how to navigate. The job of the leader is really moving those barriers, right? Breaking those barriers, no pun intended, right? But like that's the job of a leader, is to really understand I'm results driven, me. So I'm results driven. I've given you goal number 1. We as a division, we as a department, we as an organization will meet that goal. You're a critical piece to meeting this goal. Let me hear from you what's going on. Let me be empathetic, because you could have some stuff going on at home. However, we're going to move forward. Yeah. Now, I have to deploy my strategies to help you get there. I have to make sure you have capacity. If there's a skill issue, I need to get you training. If there's a will issue, we have a different conversation that I will willingly help you move into a different lane, right? Or if there's knowledge, you also can...
resources or something.
We can have resources for that. So I think that's that ebb and flow that has to happen per person, right?
You are talking about another concept that I talk about in the book, and I'm just going to spell it out because we're going to edit and put it there, is being a coach or a supervisor. You know, when a person has a will issue, they have the skill and maybe even the knowledge. I'm gonna become your supervisor to help you move along. But then I also heard the empathy piece of, hey, you may not have you might have something going on in your life, and I need to like identify that and see how we can work around that. And that's the coaching part of leadership. Talk about the dynamics oscillating between a coach and a supervisor, and it may even happen in a day, in one conversation, over a month. Like 1 month I'm your coach, and then the next month I'm your supervisor, or in this one conversation I'm your coach and your supervisor. Talk about the dynamic of that.
So my mentor, he just retired. He was a general counsel at Kent State. Talked to me about the calculator and the keyboard. No matter how hard I push a key, the computer's going to respond with whatever letter, right? On the calculator, if I do 2 + 2. Is going to give me 2 + 2. Humans, you have to treat differently, right? Sometimes we forget in leadership that I can't push too hard on you sometimes, right? So when we think about coaching, coaches have the empathy. They understand. They're able to be nimble. They can flex. They can modify the course of action to get to the end goal of winning, to get to the end goal of the action item. Supervisors, right? That is more of, I am very tactical and action oriented, right? So it's really locking in on, here's what you need to do. Here's when you need to do it. Here's how you need to do it. Let me see the results. The coach ebbs and flows and really works to develop the overall relationship, the camaraderie. They see the bigger picture. They have the vision in mind all the time. They see the horizon. There's longevity, right? Supervisors, you can have one supervisor and change to the next, but the coach makes sure that you're a part of the full team.
How have you dealt with that, dealing with because it's a difficult task. I think leaders think they have to be one or the other.
Right.
And if you're a supervisor, you think that the coach is probably not the best leader. And if you have a coach's heart, you probably think supervisors are too harsh and they don't. So in order to be an effective leader, you got to do both.
Right.
So what is that experience been like for you?
It's been one of the hardest things that you could do as a leader, right? Is being a coach. And you have to decide if you want to be a supervisor as well, because there are times that calls for both. Yeah. For both. For me, it's understanding who is on my team, right? I will take you to my role as student services and administration. I am responsible. I'm the operating officer for our division. All right, it is a 27 department, hundreds of $1 million organization within a large 8 campus system. And you're talking about a lot of moving parts. More than 2,000 student workers, more than 400 employees, union labor. I am responsible for the administration of all of that, right? Including key strategic partnerships. All of that is high risk. So when it comes to certain things and certain deliverables, I must do my due diligence and execute accordingly. That's just me. So if I'm meeting with my finance director knows there are narrative to numbers. However, there's facts. Data doesn't lie. I think Jay-Z said numbers don't lie, right? Yeah, so when we're having the conversation, we're talking about the data.
Yeah.
0 is what I like to see, or a surplus. Anything red or negative, I don't compute. Yeah. Right? That's different from the conversation that I'm having with my Marcom director, that we're talking about the digital footprint of the student experience, right? So in that format or in that place, it depends on what it is.
And you might have a meeting or a couple meetings with both of those folks in one day.
Every Wednesday, every Wednesday at 11 o'clock, I have all of my direct reports around the pillar table conversation, and they receive information very differently. Yeah. So in that one setting, I navigate the conversation to say it. Usually I'll say it 3 different ways because people receive information. Yeah. So knowledge is one of the core competencies that you spelled out. And having the knowledge, understanding the direction, understanding the vision is the key part. So with anything, with any piece of leadership, and you spell this out, I'm great book, right? You spell it out. Vision is talked about in many different forms. Vision is clarity. Vision is direction. Vision is purpose. Vision is the intended outcome. You have to have all of that, and everybody has to understand it for you to make any difference. Right? Yeah. So if you don't know the end goal, no one's going to execute anything.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's how you ebb and flow with management and supervision.
And you talk about this so eloquently, and as I watch new leaders enter into this space, they struggle. So I wanted to really have this conversation so that you can press pause, rewind a lot of that, because that was like some fast-paced stuff, but it's pretty good. I want to revisit a statement you just made, and I think it leads me to another direction that I think is really critical. You talked about the landscape of your position, which is a high risk, high reward, high impact. The thousands of students that you have to oversee, the 400 employees. We're up to about 2,500 people right there, right? But you use the word responsible. And you know where I'm going now. I think you do. We've talked about this on a couple different episodes because I really I'm going to keep doing it every time I hear it come up because I feel like it's really important. People shy away from accountability because they think they're responsible for everything. Now, you're the associate vice president, which means you have higher ups. And they have charged you to be responsible for something because they're accountable to other people. Once it's placed in your desk, you're responsible for the portion that they've given you. But you also got to kind of turn it because now I'm accountable and I'm going to place responsibility with other people. Talk about the difference in what you understand about accountability versus responsibility.
Good question, and I figured you would go this way. So, painting the picture, and I am one person removed from the president. President, senior vice president.
He's doing org chart work right now. Go ahead.
President, a senior vice president, me. Mm-hmm. I have delegated authority, right? So when we talk about being responsible or responsibility, i.e. accountable, I'm accountable for the work that has been delegated to me. With this, one of the key failures of leadership is thinking that I can do it all myself.
Now we're talking.
I used to think that.
Oh, talk to him.
Right?
Yeah, because I think we all have. Yeah.
Until I figured out I cannot do everything myself. That means you crash and burn, right? Yeah. So now it is, let me be a coach and say, I know this person, Mike, is amazing.
Because you've been already asking questions. You've already been empathetic and listening to them. Okay.
Because I've absorbed. So the same way skill, will, knowledge, and capacity,
you've already been
I have to embody that. Yeah. So I have the knowledge to know Mike is amazing with synthesizing data.
Yeah.
Mike, this is your charge. Execute. Let me know how I can help. Yep. Right? For others, when you think about this, it's delegating when you know someone can execute. When I pull together a team, a search committee, or whatever it is, I have to delegate. The number one thing, and I'll say it again, is when you think you can do it all yourself and you don't need help. Right? Leadership is dynamic. Leadership is something that changes daily. No one situation is alike. Zero. I have dealt with countless employee relations situations. I may say it ended up the same way, but I can tell you the data would show that not every incident is alike.
Yeah. That's a lot. I want to let that marinate.
No problem.
You said a ton. And I hope that people are gleaning from this because this is really, really important.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure. So this is why you're here.
A part about I got you. A part about responsible and accountability, I think, has something to do with the person. So when we think of leadership, some people think about it for their ego, the title, the pomp and circumstance. The idea of I'm in charge of X. When we talk about true leadership, when we talk about courage, when we talk about having empathy, when we talk about leading because you believe there's purpose, you're driven by the mission of the organization, you're not caught up in the movement, forgetting about the mission, you operate differently. So me being responsible means I care. So when I say responsible, that equals I care. That means I will carry this team on my back to make sure we are successful because I care about all of the students that we serve.
That's good.
For my firm, when you hire me as your chief strategist and you've now emptied over to me, your organization is in a place of whether the doors are open or closed, I now have the responsibility to see you through so that you're successful. So the end of the road is not the only scenario you have. Yeah. I want to make sure I give you options. Some leaders don't do that. Some leaders are there for the time, the place, and for that time period that they're in.
You just did a great segue because that's where I was going next. I wanted to talk about, you mentioned the word delegation. I have found in working with CEOs and leaders, that delegation is one of the hardest strategies to do as a leader for what you just mentioned, like feeling like you need to do it all by yourself, feeling like if I don't do it, it won't get done right. But the segue that I wanted to make was about your firm, the strategy firm. Coming into an organization that has contracted you to support their work, you definitely have to figure out how to synthesize the information that's in front of you, evaluate the talent, and then start to delegate. What has that experience been like for you? Just going into and doing one of the hardest tasks that there is. That's why you have a firm, is because delegation and strategy is really, really difficult.
The hardest part is the first step that you should always do in leadership, and that's garner trust. So for me, it has been, how do I establish a relationship first? I cannot go into an organization and ask for all of the org charts and everyone's resume without me establishing who I am, why am I there, and what's the purpose, right? In doing so, I have to do it by establishing relationships, and that means having conversations. That means really understanding what the end goal, the person or the team that has hired me to do. So if it is to make things better, that's easy. If it is to change lives of individuals that are part of this organization and make a strong recommendation, that's different. But I have to step through that. But that's me having the experience of doing it in an organization where I can't just come in, tinker with something and leave. Mm-hmm. It's my job 9 to 5 is I tinker with something and I'm there the next day, right? Yeah, so I may get a side eye in the hallway or a smile or a high five, right? But it's also, again, I'll always go back to leading with empathy, understanding not only the goal of the leader of the organization or the leaders of the organization, but understanding the end goal, right? And understanding how do I align people. So for me, not giving a trade secret, but it's about how do I align people on the team to be in the right place. That's it. Because you've hired, or those that have been hired on the team are there on the team for a reason. But how do I just shuffle the deck a little to be successful? Transformation 180. This is something that you do, right? You speak to the team dynamic, right? Yeah. As a part of how do you break through? How do you break through? How do you make leadership happen for you? And I would say that's one of the things that I do first and foremost. And with the strategy firm is understanding what the task is, establishing relationships, and really delving into why I'm here and not losing sight of that.
Yeah.
Because you can't be attached throughout the process.
You'll start to get emotions attached to people.
Right. So what I do in all notes, no matter if I'm doing interview, focus group, sessions, whatever it is, I write my intended outcome at the top of my paper, whether it's my digital remarkable tablet or it's a legal pad. It is because that's my compass. That's my guide. That is why I'm here. So it reminds me of don't get pulled in, right? Because I will get that piece of information, not the totality of it.
Yeah. That's really good, man. I want to have some fun. We usually play these games and it's like trivia. Games. I keep saying that, and then when I watch the feedback, I'm like, why do you keep calling it a game? It's not even a game.
It's not fun.
There's no game to it. I asked this question because I always want to see like where people are. We talk about all of these different generations and multi-generational workplace in this book, and I wanted to talk about your vision on that. So if you could be a leader from any generation, who would you be and why?
I would stay being a leader in this generation. I'm a millennial, and we cross 3. I would say you have some millennials that are, what's the generation before us? Gen X.
This is where we put the stuff down at the bottom. We're going to put the right one there.
Whatever the generation before us is.
This is funny.
It's after the baby boomers, right? And before the millennials, right? So them and then the generation after us.
Gen Z.
Right. We cross over because everything changed. So we had September 11th. We had the introduction of the iPhone, introduction of the World Wide Web. We had the introduction of Wi-Fi, right? We had the introduction of the microwave. All of those things have changed the way we operate. And you think about in leadership, we had to experience dial-up. We had to experience the rotary phone, right? And also we experienced the new technology where my mom, she didn't care. She just got the DSL for me because I needed it. Yeah. My mom just got an iPhone in 2016. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And I forced her to do it. I'm not buying another flip phone, Mom, right?
This is it. Yeah.
But now she's doing all these emojis and everything else, right? But it's the millennial, I would say we understand. So we are hard workers. So we mimic some of the behaviors of our the generations that came before us of hard work, 9 to 5, staying committed to some stuff.
Yeah.
But we also have a little bit of my work will be valued.
Yep.
Right.
And I want to know my leader.
I want to know that my leader sees and values me.
Yep.
If not, I'll take my work somewhere else. My mom worked for XYZ Bank for 28 years.
No matter what. Yeah.
And she was committed, and they closed the doors.
Mm-hmm.
They gave her a nice package. She said it was nice, so I've agreed. That's why I didn't say the name of the bank, right?
Yeah.
But like, she was committed for 28 years. The generations after me are not doing that. Mm-hmm. You may get 1 or 2 years from them. Mm-hmm. So
I'm going to pause you because that's too good. Mm-hmm. And I was going to keep playing the game, but now you're making me go backwards. And we're just going to do that because we have to.
Okay.
Because that's what we're talking about with this leading the multi-generational workplace. Mm-hmm. You're in a university.
Right.
And then you also have your own company where you are doing this everywhere. Mm-hmm. What is it like leading a team that has a baby boomer, a millennial, a Gen X, a Gen Y, all on the same team? Because they all value different things in the workplace. Like you just mentioned, your mom, her value was just like getting the work done.
Right. But
then there's other people that, in the different generations that value different things.
Right.
But they're all working on the same team.
Right. So I'll give you two scenarios positioned at different times. When I first became assistant vice president at Kent State, every person that reported to me was 20 to 30 years older than me. They were all in one generation. Leading them, they had to respect me as the leader first. Because for them, it's deference. It's time in the saddle. It's like you still wet behind the ears. It's all of that stuff.
Got milk behind you.
Right. Look, I got kids older than you. I heard all of this.
Yeah.
I said, let's do this work though.
Yeah.
And once they saw that, what I had to do is say, I value them. Whenever I'm interviewing, I will always say, because you got to realize the organization, right? I will always say, I respect history and traditions, but I encourage transformation. Mm. So that means that
lower third.
I respect the fact that Kathy has been a part of X organization for 30 years and worked her heart and hard work into the place. Mm-hmm. I also respect John and Tyrone that have also been there 40 years that have done their work and done it the way they've done it. Now, if it comes for a time as this, I make sure I have empathy to understand that they've been here that long, but I have to move past that. Now, today, I have every last generation, right? And what I say is, here is our objective.
So you just say goal-oriented.
That is focused. Me. Because that is the vision.
And then the empathy comes in with like person to person. That's how you navigate the team.
Person to person. So I have someone on the team, I talk to this person and I say, how can I help? Mm-hmm. That's all I need to do with this person. Another person on the team, I know this person is going to emote. I sit and listen. Mm-hmm. I have a person on the team that comes in with a 3-page update agenda. We go through it.
And they're good to go.
They're good to go.
Yeah.
One person comes in, it's a checkpoint. Hey, I want to run this by you. What are your thoughts? And they'll tell me, be serious. I was like, I hate it. Yeah. Tweak this. And they say, okay, go. I have someone else who I let them run, do their thing. They check in with me. But I have to be able to navigate and flex this. But I also value looks different for every single person. Mm-hmm. The value of having medical insurance and a tuition waiver for the baby boomer is not the same value of a salary.
And that's what's going to motivate them to continue to work.
So the failure is that I apply one value
to everyone.
You
can't do that with a multi-generational workplace.
I have a toolbox that I pull from.
You talking, man.
So when I'm talking to Dre, and I'm making up names, but when I'm talking to Dre,
Dre does not work.
Dre, we're gonna talk about your salary, but I need for this work to get done. Mm-hmm. When I'm talking to someone else, don't worry, take your vacation time. We'll cover for you. We cross train now. So when someone's out of the office, they don't come back to work just sitting there, because guess what? Like you said, I'm goal oriented. Mm-hmm. We will continue to move. This train keeps on rolling. And I mean that in a positive way.
No, but I get it.
The song is not that.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
There are so many perils of leadership that don't get talked about. And so I appreciate you for sharing all of this. If you had to give yourself, your younger self, some advice on leadership, something that you wish you would have known in your early stages, what would that be?
I would say two things.
Yeah.
It's okay to say I don't know, and have courage.
Humility and courage.
Yeah. Because when you are in an environment and you've seen people do it that you think are perfect, you want to get at that table and you want to make sure that you're perfect. You want to get at that table and make sure that you're perfect. You want to make sure that everything is okay, right? So leaders fail, or leaders lose their authenticity when they're not able to say, I don't know, right? The other piece is that you have to have courage to do what's right no matter what. And once you have courage and you're able to be tactful about it, you're able to step through things differently.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just fall in place because you just follow.
Yeah.
You
Whatever
follow what happens, right?
Before
but
you. Yeah.
Having courage looks a little different, right?
And courage to stand there after the decision is made, even though it may not be a popular one. Say, yep, I did that, and this is going to move us closer to the vision.
I am a part of a 10-person senior leadership team of student life, and there was something last semester that happened where literally everyone in the room for 30 minutes talked about going right. And I said, no. I hear everyone.
Yep.
We need to go left. They disagreed. It took 3 months before we all went left.
Put the circle back, yeah. And then the humility did not be like,
I told you so. Right. So what happened was I just said, I'm glad we made the right decision.
That's good, man.
But I mean, you got to do that. Like
now
at home, I said what I need to say.
It's the behind the stuff.
It's behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about what we're going to talk about. Yeah. I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I hope that, you young folks, or not you young folks, excuse me, you new leaders, right? People that are joining this leadership train have gleaned from Mr. Curtis. I want you to be able to, plug in what you have going on and with the Strategy Firm. So just where can we find out more work about you or the Strategy Firm, and then all the other things that you have going on, and then we'll kind of close out.
Right now, I can be found at Cesquinn on any of the platforms. So it's at Cesquinn. That's it.
Yeah. I think that I know that this was going to support someone. There's a lot of meat in this conversation around leadership, and I think that that's super important to help. I also know that there'll be some follow-up. So guys, in the comment, you heard something, he dropped some gems.
Thank you.
Put those in the comments. Again, I am Dr. Don Wilkins. I am the author of Barriers to Breakthrough. I'm also the founder of Transformation 180, and this is the speaker series, Barriers to Breakthrough, where we just try to give you some good information about leadership, all of the things that are entailed in leadership, and some of the things that don't get talked about when you get placed into your leadership role. Please come back for the next episodes. We're going to continue to talk about leadership, and hopefully this is helpful to someone. But until next time, see you. Thank you.
Thank you for curating the space.
Yeah, man.
That's it right there.
Awesome.